emergency care and the No Surprise Act. This is not medical advice, this is not legal advice. This particular person says, we took my son to the emergency room a few months ago to a major hospital in our area that is in network with our insurance, Cigna. Just got a bill yesterday from the provider doctor who saw our son. Apparently he is not in network and we are responsible for $1,300 for the 10 minutes the doctor saw him. This happened a few years ago with an urgent care facility who took our insurance, but the doctor did not, and we didn't find out until after. When I tried to fight this, they sent us straight to collections. It is like a new standard that we just have to be in fear of moving forward. I mean, how is this legal? I feel like we did our part by going to an in-network facility. How are we supposed to know if the particular doctor on staff takes our insurance or not? Okay, so first of all, in regards to emergency room, you are not expected to diagnose yourself. So if you are in a true emergency, in fear of life or limb, then you should go to the nearest emergency room and not worry about who is in network, who's out of network. All right, so on the topic of emergency room, when to go to the emergency room, when to go to the urgent care. So there's several topics here, so I'm going to try to unpack this. The first one is emergency room. You go to an emergency room when you're in fear of life or limb. Please keep in mind that you are not expected to self-diagnose. So for instance, let's say you're on a trip somewhere and you have national coverage with Blue Cross Blue Shield and you have chest pains. So you being not expected to self-diagnose as a member of your insurance, you perhaps suspect that you're having a heart attack, chest pains, right? So you go to the nearest emergency room. It turns out it's just indigestion. From there on, the insurance and the hospital may try to charge you for some out-of-network services, like this person is experiencing, the doctor might be out of network, the anesthesiologist is very common, not that you would need that for this particular example, but the anesthesiologists and labs, those are what we call hidden providers, where you go into a facility and you don't expect to see them, but sometimes you do, and they may be out of network. Okay, so those are what we call hidden providers, like this person is experiencing here. That person who went into the emergency room who had chest pains, thought they were having a heart attack, to them it was an emergency. They go, they get diagnosed, they find out it was indigestion. It doesn't matter that it's indigestion. What matters is the perception of the member going into the emergency room thought that they were going to lose their life or limb, or possibly risk losing their life or limb. So at that moment, it was perceived to be an emergency by the member and therefore should be covered as an emergency in network, even if they're going to an out-of-network facility. If you are not in fear of life or limb, you go to an urgent care. Urgent care, you look up with your insurance company, some planning that goes into it. You can call the urgent care that's closest to you, ask them if they contract with your insurance company. You can also call your insurance company and ask. You can go online to your insurance company and check to see what the closest urgent cares are to you that are in network. That last option is probably the one that I would recommend the most. When you sign up for insurance, the first thing you should do is go to your insurance company's website and register on their portal. When you do that, you enter in your ID number, your group number, sometimes your social or your date of birth, and they confirm your membership with that insurance company. With that, they're tying your exact insurance, your exact PPO or HMO or POS or EPO, whatever type of insurance you have, to your account. So the next time you log in and you are looking for providers, you are more likely to find one that is actually in network, because if you do not log in, there are dozens of networks. You could choose the wrong one. There's a lot of opportunity for error if you are not logging in into your account that's tied to your particular insurance, okay? This particular example looks like they went to the emergency room. They decided to go to the emergency room. They saw the doctor for 10 minutes. They're being charged $1,300 because they're stating that it is an out-of-network doctor. It is an in-network facility, but an out-of-network doctor. This does happen. There's been legislation that attempts to override this and make sure that if a member is going to an in-network facility, that all of the doctors will be in network for the patient. We're going to go to the CMS.gov article. This is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and talk about the no surprises legislation. The point of this is to handle situations like this member is dealing with. For example, I have seen people that go in for surgery, they find an in-network surgeon, they find an in-network facility, and surprise, surprise, they end up with an anesthesiologist that is out of network, and they end up having to pay out-of-network charges for an anesthesiologist, something the member has very little control over, and quite frankly, the facility sometimes has very little control over, because it comes down to whoever's on call, and a lot of these anesthesiologists have learned that they do better financially when they stay outside of the network, and if all the anesthesiologists stay out of the network, it's something that's needed, and they have more leverage to do so, and they get paid whatever they ask for. No surprises, understanding your rights against surprise medical bills. The No Surprises Act protects people covered under group and individual health plans from receiving surprise bills when they have received most emergency services, non-emergency services from out-of-network providers and in-network facilities. So the exact example that we just went through on this Reddit thread. And services from out-of-network air ambulance providers. So in the past, I had actually sold some air coverage for ambulance. So I've seen where people end up, let's say, in a severe car accident, skiing on a mountain, hiking somewhere remotely. They break their leg, they hurt themselves severely, and you have to get an ambulance. And those are helicopters that fly out to those remote locations. Those can be, $45,000, $65,000, perhaps even more now, and it is devastating for people. That's a huge, huge bill. It also establishes an independent dispute resolution process for payment disputes between plans and providers, and provides new dispute resolution opportunities for the uninsured and self-paid individuals when they receive a medical bill that is substantially greater than the good faith estimate they get from their provider. All right, so every time you go in to get a planned procedure, always ask for a good faith estimate, and in insurance speak, this is called a predetermination of benefits. This is something that you can get for dental. So you go in, get dental work, they say that you need X number of fillings, or you need a crown, or you need bridges, you need dentures. Ask for a predetermination of benefits. A predetermination of benefits is something where your provider's billing office has to send the procedure and diagnosis codes over to your insurance plan, and your insurance plan kicks back the amounts that are going to be covered for those particular services. So it is getting a quote. It is just like getting a quote when you take your car in to get work done with a mechanic. You always ask for a quote. Starting in 2022, there are new protections that prevent surprise medical bills. If you have private health insurance, these new protections ban the most common types of surprise bills. If you are uninsured or you decide not to use your health insurance for a service under these protections, you can often get a good faith estimate of the cost of your care up front before your visit. If you disagree with your bill, you may be able to dispute the charges. Here's what you need to know about your rights. What is a surprise medical bill? Before the No Surprise Act, if you had health insurance and received care from an outpatient or an out-of-network provider or an out-of-network facility, even unknowingly, your health plan may not have covered the entire out-of-network cost. This could have left you with higher costs than if you got care from an in-network provider or facility. In addition to any out-of-network cost sharing you might have owed, the out-of-network provider or facility could bill you for the difference between the billed charge and the amount your insurance plan paid, unless banned by state law. For example, I will use dental insurance since it is still applicable here. So let's say you have a dental PPO and you go, your plan covers 180/50 in and out of network. So what that means is it pays 100% for preventive, 80% for basic, which is, we'll just say basic fillings, and 50% for major, which are dental bridges, crowns, crowns, bridges, and dentures, 50%. Okay, so a lot of people look at that and say, well, it's 100% both in and out of network for preventive, so it doesn't matter where I go. It does matter because of this cost sharing for out of network providers. Okay, so what that means is, let's say you think, oh, it's 100% in or out of network. You go to an out of network dentist for cleaning. Many plans are MAC plans, means they pay based off of a fee schedule, or they pay based off of UCR, which is usual, customary, and reasonable. And a percentage, it's usually a percentile, like 90th percentile, 80th percentile, 95th percentile. The higher the percentile, the better the coverage out of network. So we will assume that the plan that you have pays based off of a fee schedule. You go to an out-of-network dentist. That fee schedule states that the charge should be $60 for cleaning. The dentist charges $100 for the cleaning. Because the plan pays 100%, they're going to pay 100% of the fee schedule charge for that procedure, which is $60, and you pay the difference. You pay the $40 for the cleaning. Whereas if you would have gone to an in-network dentist, it would have been covered at 100% because the dentist has already signed a contract with the insurance company stating that they will accept the fee schedule as payment in full. Where out-of-network providers, you do not have any safeguards with those providers. There's no contract between you and the provider or your insurance company and that provider. Congratulations, you made it through to the end without falling asleep. My goal is to make insurance a little bit more exciting so that you're not passing out while you are listening to this. One more thing. If you're a client, thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate all the testimonials that have been rolling in. Also, if you're not a client, I have a link down below for an application, a questionnaire. Once completed, we can hop on the phone together, probably about a 30-minute phone call to see if I can help you. Again, I appreciate you hanging out until the end, and I'll see you next time.